Hi, I'm Tutor K. Some people call me Tutor Singh. I prefer being called Tutor Singh, to spelled as Singh. Tutor Singh. And here I'll be talking about the Exponent Law. In the Exponent Law, for every single thing you want to understand in mathematics, it has to do with you understanding most of the law and the principle, being able to understand and know how to apply them. Also, you have to know when to apply them. All of these are important in understanding any concept in mathematics. So, yeah, exponent actually comes from indices or index, because basically instead of having 3 times 3, which is 9, instead of having 3 times 3 times 3 to be 27, instead of having it in this form, you could just say 3 times 3 times 3 is actually 3 to the power of 2, where 3 here is called the base and 2 is called the power, or some people call it the exponent, which is what we are dealing with, and some people call it the index. So, and this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 3 to the power of 3 as well. So, exponent is just like bringing the multiples of the index of number, rewriting the index of number, or understanding the approach of index of number indices in general. So, and for exponents law, there are different kind of law towards it. And once you understand every part of this law, it becomes very easy. The first law is what I call the multiplication law. It might be different if you check in another material, but I call it multiplication law because that's multiplication sign in there. So a to the power of x times a to the power of y will be equals to, according to index law, it states that when you're having the same base, this one base, this another base, the same base, you add up the power. You're going to add the power again. When you're having the same base, you add the power. When you're having the same base, you add the power. So yeah, basically it means this is going to become a to the power of x plus y, a to the power of x plus y. Now the next one is what I call the division law. The division law states that if you have a to the power of x divided by a to the power of y, this is going to be a to the power of x minus y. Now, when you're having the same base, according to exponent's law, it says that when this division sign that is between them, you subtract. Now look at the both. When it is multiplication sign, you add, but when it is division sign, you what? You subtract. And that's the difference between division law and the multiplication law. Using it in a real scenario, it means we can play with numbers here. Let's say we have 3 to the power of 2 times 3 to the power of 4. So, according to the multiplication law, what's it going to tell us to do? We are going to add up the power exactly. If you're having multiplication, you add. So that will be 3 to the power of 6. And here, there you go. The same thing applies to the subtraction. 2 to the power of 8 divided by to the power of 6. So you subtract. Why? Because there is division sign between them. That is 8 minus 6, which is 2 to the power of 2. Does that make sense to you? The next one is what I call the zero index. Again, is what I call the zero index. 0 in z is telling us that anything to the power of 0 is actually 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. And then the last law, it means if 4 is to the power of 0, it will be equals to 1. Let's take for instance, we have a situation where you have 2 to the power of 6 divided by 2 to the power of 6. And then remember, according to the division rule, when you have the same base, you subtract. That will be 2 to the power of 6 minus 6. And then 6 minus 6 is actually 0. And according to 0 index, what does it say? That anything raised to the power 0 is what? 1. So this is going to be my value. That's where this is applicable. That anything raised to the power 0 is 1. And the next one is what I call the inverse and the reciprocal law. The inverse and the reciprocal law. The inverse law and the reciprocal law says that if we have a to the power of negative b, it will be 1 over a to the power of b. A to the power of negative b will be equals to 1 over a to the power of b. How is that? It's all about you having this kind of situation where you might have something like 5 to the power of negative 2. That will be 1 over 5 to the power of 2, 1 over the base and the power, where the negative sign is going to leave, this negative sign here will leave, and you'll be left with the base and the power. Let's try another one. If we have 5 to, let me use 7 to the power of negative 8, it will be 1 over the base and the power, 1 over the base and the power. And the same thing apply the other way around, that you can have a over b. Let me use and as well, because they are two different situations, though it's the same, but I decided to separate them intentionally. If you have a over b to the power of negative c, this is going to change from its numerator to its denominator. It's going to become b over a to the power of c. Apparently, if you have 2 over 7 to the power of negative 2, that will be equals to 7 over 2 to the power of 2. Does that make sense? Moving on. There is something called fractional index. What do I call it? Fractional index. That is, if you have your base to the power of fraction, your base to the power of fraction, it will be, you would see a to the power of b. You would see that is the denominator, the root of the denominator, then the base and the numerator. As if you have a to the power of 2 over 3, that will be cube root, that is the cube root of the denominator of 8 to the power of 2. If you have 7 to the power of 1 over 3, it will become to the power of 1 over 4. It will become the fourth root of 7 to the power of 1. If you have 9 to the power of 1 over 7, or let's say 2 over 7, that will be 7 roots of 9 to the power of 2. I hope that makes sense. Now, the last law I'm going to be explaining is what we call the product rule. The last rule I'm going to explain is what we call the product rule. The product rule is telling us that everything outside the bracket affects everything inside the bracket. Everything outside the bracket affects everything inside the bracket, which means this is going to affect this and this will affect this. And this will be a to the power of bf and d to the power of ef. That is, if you have 5 over 7 to the power of 8, it means it is going to become 5 to the power of 8 over 7 to the power of 8. Now, these are some of the exponents law that are very important for us to know. And once you understand this basic one, you can always apply it in questions whenever you are given. Alright. Once again, people call me Tutor K, but I prefer Tutor Singh. Take care of yourself. Have a good one. I'm Tutor Singh once again. Math is easy.